Miss Transformers 96 here with another video review. This time I'm going to be reviewing a custom that I made, and I made a custom of the Captain America Civil War Crossbones. So if you haven't heard or seen already, set pictures did come out for Civil War. And in those set pictures we really got just mostly the characters that we already know. Falcon, Captain America, Scarlet Witch was on set, and then some other people were on set as well. But the main thing that was most interesting to most people, and myself included, was Crossbones. We got to see him in his full outfit. Of course, Brock Rumlow, who is Crossbones, was in The Winter Soldier. He was pretty much a main villain in that movie. He was, seen throughout it. So we always hoped that at least I hope that I'd see him again when he was burnt at the end of that movie, and they, closened up at what were those, like his straps that made like an X on his chest, kind of symbolizing Crossbones. So I'm so glad to see him in this movie, and I thought that he looks fantastic. Would highly recommend you go check out those pictures. Really quickly, just my background is one of those pictures. As you can see, I love the look of this new outfit. I think it's perfect. It's a great representation of his comic book look, but in a realistic and real kind of look to form to it. I think that the original one is fairly realistic. It's not so goofy as a lot of the comic book characters kind of look. That one could fit into real life, so they did just add a little twist to it. So really love the way that he looks in the set pictures. They've also taken videos of him actually fighting Captain America. If you want to see those, check out my Instagram. I posted a bunch of pictures of him, and I've posted the 3 main videos where he is fighting Captain America. Alright, so let's go over the custom. So this is something I totally wanted to do, just because I really fell in love with those pictures. I really wanted to do a custom one, and I started thinking of what parts could go together to pull it off, and I was able to do it, and I'm quite happy with how it turned out. So first of all, just to go over what you'll need with this guy, to make this guy, if you are planning to do so. First of all, you'll need, the main thing is a Captain America 1 comic book Crossbones, then a Iron Man 2 Mark 1, and a G.I. Joe Retaliation Joe Trooper, and then the last one you'll need is a G.I. Joe Night Viper. So I was very lucky that 3 of the 4 figures that I used to make this, I had duplicates of, all mint. So, typically when I do a custom, I've got to buy some more figures because I want to get the figures that I used back, So this time I didn't have to, which is great because I don't really care too much about the Night Viper. But yeah, so what I used from each of these guys, from the main Crossbones, I used basically the entire body, legs, and upper arms. Then from the Mark 1 Iron Man, I used the lower arms. From the G.I. Joe Trooper, I used the vest. And then from the Night Viper, I used the head and the mask on top of the head. So just so you know, if you're planning on doing this, I'll tell you how I used each part, like how I got the Mark 1 lower arms on him and everything. Oops. Alright, but first let's just go over the actual figure. So coming up with the armor on the hands, I'm very happy about that, because one of the big differences between the comic book Crossbones and this new movie one is that he does have some kind of contraption, mechanical gauntlets almost, which will help him fight in the movie, because Crossbones doesn't have any superpowers, so he's got to make up for it some way. So he is using some mechanical arms there, and I'm very happy I came up with that idea. Obviously, it's not like completely accurate or anything, but it totally represents how he looks in the set pictures, which is really what I want. So I'm very happy about that. As you can see, I think that they just look really nice. They fit pretty well too. Just really what you'll do is you'll use a hairdryer and just hold it over this joint on the Mark 1 as well as on the Crossbones for about for like a minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes, and then you'll be able to pop them off. The only thing is the joints, they fit pretty nicely. Just the Mark 1 joints are slightly, like the pegs that go up into the arm, are slightly smaller than Crossbones are. So they go into this the Crossbones upper arms very easily, and they're they're not even that loose, but it's a slight noticeable that they're smaller, but it really doesn't affect them at all. I mean, they fit in fine. Like I don't know if I could even pull them out just with brute force. I might have to do a hairdryer again to get them out, but it is something that's worth noting. So that fit on perfectly. And then the vest from the G.I. Joe Trooper, that won't fit on quite right. First of all, just with any like Hasbro vest, typically there'll be some buttons, so you'll have to unbutton these, button into here and here. So you'll unbutton those, and then you'll also have to, these straps are connected up here. You'll just have to cut those. And then when that's done, it fits perfectly, and I like the way it looks. If you want, you can glue this on. I don't want it to be that permanent because I want him to still have the range of motion in the upper torso, but you can glue it if you want it to be more secure, but I'm fine with the way it is, so I'm pretty happy about that. And then the head, this is a helmet over an actual head sculpt, which is what comes with the Viper. The Viper comes with that kind of masked head, and then it comes with like a helmet on top of it. And the masked head, I have to say, is a perfect look, a perfect match to the way his helmet looks in the set pictures. It is really quite perfect. The only problem with it is it doesn't sit low enough on the neck, and it's too small. It's just slightly too small. So, I was trying to get that one to work because it was such a perfect match, but it just wasn't working. So I decided to use the helmet over it, which gave it the bulk I needed. It's not, I mean, it still looks fine, but, some of the lines aren't like, it is in the set pictures. It still works very nicely, though, so I chose to make it the right size and a slightly not the best look. And then, so that's a shame. So if you are doing this custom and you have another body that you think will work really well, I would totally recommend using that, because if it's a smaller one, hopefully you can use the head sculpt from that one, the one that's under this helmet, which I think just looks a lot better. The only problem with that is getting a smaller body means that these arms, the lower arms, might be a little too bulky. Like right here looks really nice, it fits in because this is quite a bulky base figure, so I think that's why the arms fit very nicely and look good. So you can try to play around with it though, try to come up with a solution. And then of course I painted some stuff. The knee pads are originally white, painted those black. Painted the hands on the Mark I black, as well as this exhaust tank, which is used for the flamethrower. Jeez, I painted that black when that was orange, and then I painted black up here, just at the elbow joint, and then I painted black at the neck. Crossbones has a really low collar line, so you can see a lot of his neck, which makes his neck look very high up. So I did just paint that because in the set pictures you can barely see any skin. So I left a little bit of skin so you can see it, on either side, but not much. So I think that looks a lot better. And then of course I painted the X on the chest. I like how that came out. You don't want it because the X on his chest almost looks like in the set pictures he drew it on with chalk. So you don't want it to be perfect or anything. You gotta leave some, areas kind of looking like there's lines coming off of the X. So it can't just be pure white. You gotta leave some black in there too. So I think that turned out pretty nicely. And then the head, when you're painting that, I think I might even raise the nose. To me, the nose looks a little bit too low, so I might be raising that. Haven't decided yet though. But then you got to make it look a little messy, because obviously in the set pictures it looks messy because he did it himself, as well as on over his left eye, the lines are much shorter than the ones over his right eye, which is how it is in the pictures. So yeah. So there you go. So to do this custom, I mean, it's fairly simple. You really just need 4 figures, all of them pretty common. There's not like a rare one in here that you'd have to spend like $30 to get. You can get all of these guys between I'd say $12 and maybe $16 for each of them. So not too expensive, and you might have some of these already, as well as the only thing you'll have to do is paint. There's no sculpting anything. I really don't like customs where you have to sculpt stuff, because I've just never tried it. So eventually I'll get to that point where I'll give it a shot. But for now, I haven't done that. So I'd rather just stick to simple things like this, where you swap parts and paint. Alright, here he is with Captain America. As you can see, he's a pretty bulky character, which I like, because in the comics he's very bulky, and in the set pictures he's around the same size as Captain America, but he does have the bulkiness because he's wearing somewhat baggy clothes, so I think that that's a pretty nice scale there. And then if you want, because like, I kind of envision him like as an enforcer for Hydra. Here he is with Red Skull. I like that size a lot. You know, I see like an enforcer, a really big guy, so I think that looks really cool. But that's just me. Overall, I am very happy with this custom. Probably one of my favorite ones that I've done. I've really only done 3 3/4 inch customs, come to think of it. I like 3 3/4 inch figures a lot, and considering Hasbro has basically dumped them for the 2-inch line, there's almost no chance that we're going to get a 3 3/4 inch line for Civil War. And if we do, the chance that we'll get Crossbones is really not even likely, because he's not even a main villain. And then the chance that that figure, even if they did make Crossbones, was any good is even less likely. Most likely it'll just have like 5 points of articulation. So no matter what, I did want to do this custom just so I could have a really awesome movie movie Crossbones 3 3/4 inch representation. Hopefully Hot Toys will make them. My fingers are so crossed. I'm dying for them to make them. We'll have to see on that though. Well, there you go. That's my 3 3/4 inch custom Captain America Civil War Crossbones. Thanks so much for watching.